Hey there, Wargamers. It's your man, It's a Sentinel from across the tabletop. Last episode, we were talking about the ITC and the points changes and how it doesn't feel like when you go to the tournaments that we're playing in the ITC itself. We're playing in like mini leagues or mini competitions of cups and stuff like that, and we're getting points ranked, and then those points are added to our overall average stat line, and we are then ranked on that. So the idea of possibly changing that to a more stable ranking system would be a similar sort of attempt to try and rank the way the chess federation does it. Now, in chess, there is a ranking system. So beginners start at 100. The beginners start about 600. You've played a few games. You've got a ranking system of 600. But the idea is that when you lose, your points, your ranking points, are dropped by the opponent that you're playing. So if you're playing someone in say a 600 versus a 600, then the points difference aren't that much. You're not awarded a lot of points. You might be awarded half a point. But say you're playing against someone who's ranked at the 1200 to 1400 point sort of tournament strong player, then maybe you'll earn 10 points if you beat that 1200 points player, and then the 1200 point would lose 10 points, and so forth and so on. And if you're an experienced player, say like a world champion was playing a 2500 point player, and he was playing a 600 point player, then he would only gain say half a point for beating that player. But the player that beat him might win 10 points, and he might drop by 10 points because of the difference in strength and experience. And then that ranking system is that ranking system is held by the Chess Federation, and to be awarded a ranking score to be put in the ranking system, so the Chess Federation, you become a member, and this is not too far of what the ITC or the Frontline Gaming could do, but there is a lot more algorithms that you need to produce from it. But it does mean that those that go to tournaments, we could still use the same Swiss pairings and everything like that. It's just that when all your after the tournament, say you win the tournament, fantastic, all your pairings are then married up to your ranking system after you've won, because we win by just doing the points. That's how we work out if we win or not. And then if you're ranked 600 to say an 800 player, then the points differential of your transfer of ranking system, and you go up on a ranking scoreboard and not just overall win. So it's a second layer of the ITC point system. You take what we currently got to the ITC point system, and you go to a second layer. So you're not just being ranked on how many points did you score in the tournament and where you finished. You're actually ranked on a specific number given to you by the ITC ranking system, by Frontline Gaming. And BCP just allows you to track your ranking system. So that would be the idea of where you would go. Turning the Frontline Gaming into a federation, which we all subscribe to and we all recognise as the authority to hand out rankings and points, and we know that it's a bit, you'd have to go purely on experience and not just go with the army that you're playing to be in your rank system. So it would then be the onus on yourselves to choose not just your favourite faction. If you're going to a tournament and you want to keep your ranking up there, you'd have to then think about that competitive mindset. But that's a different, that's if you wanted to go up and down the rankings. All the tournaments would be still exactly the same. You'd still play the tournaments exactly the same way. It just, when it came to the overall ranking system, you'd be paired up with like-minded players, or your points, sorry, not your like-minded players. You could then at least have a reflection on experienced players playing worse players on the ranking system. You could take that one step further then, and then you could, the invitations that some tournaments do, the invitation tournaments, you wouldn't just invite those that are popular or those that are doing, say, for live streams and things like that, the YouTubers. You wouldn't just invite the YouTubers that are popular. you would invite those that are up at the top of the game with their ranked systems, and you put invitations out to do certain activities with those ranked players. And that way then those players are playing each other, and you could even then, when you're organising a big tournament of, say, the 700 player tournament, is that when they turn up, the pods are already set up depending on your rank. You just turn around and say, all those that are 1800 points ranked are going to be over here, and all those that are 1800 points and below are going to be over here, and then everybody that's under 1200 points on their ranking system will be over here. And then that way then you can build up the pod system without even throwing any dice. It's faster. It could be then equated to your own categories, and that way then the cups that you're winning or the tournaments you're entering will be more at a base level for your ranked system. Now this is going to have consequences in the fact that because the ranked system would be on experience and not on the codexes you bring in, you will find that someone at 600 point is going to take the Votan, for instance, the greatest codex out there, and smash all of his other players at the 600 points. But only if he's good enough to read all his rules, understand it all, experience it all. Because say for instance the 600 point player takes the Votan codex, and it is the most top player, it doesn't mean that he's going to do well with it, because he hasn't played it before, he has never used it before. Therefore his experience in using or playing tournaments could potentially let him have a bad game, which then would makes it levels the playing field out. You know, I've played tournaments where I'm playing Imperial Fist and I'm going up against a much greater potential, better codex than me, and still come out on top because I've got the experience to play around their tactics or their specialists. You know, Imperial Fist are not just a walkover. You can put up a fight against the harder armies out there and still come out on top. So it's not just purely down to the codex, it is mostly down to experienced players playing in the right formats against each other. That's my opinion anyway. I would like to see a federation ranking system being produced or being exercised, and I would say I think maybe Stephen Box and his Vanguard Academy is going that way. I was thinking that maybe Stephen Box and the Vanguard Academy are trying to make referees, because over a certain period of time you could then turn around to his experienced players and ask them to move across to the refereeing sort of side of life, and he could then have the certificates to prove that his guys are fully aware and fully understood the rules, and then his whole academy can develop from that way to include referees, players, and even potentially propping up the new ranking system through his academy and recognised professional standards that he's producing within his own community. And we could all sort of like transfer onto that. Or there's somebody else out there that could, you know, create something new. I'm not quite at the mindset for it. I've got all the ideas but don't really have the functional strategization to make those dreams come true at the moment, and I haven't got a team around me to lean on to push those sort of ideas and dreams forward. It's just one man in a shed with a gaming club with some fantastic, amazing players and people that are willing to come down and play some games sometimes and let me film them. So taking all that away from it and all that experience out there, the game is growing, the community is growing. We've just had the London Grand Tournament, and I'll talk about that in another video, because I think the community is now starting to see these grand tournaments. I think the community is now seeing the events that are happening and want to participate in those events, but on a level which isn't just attending them. It's either watching them, supporting them online, you know, having the interaction with the players at the event, as well as sitting at home and having all the bits in between. So we want to start to, but like I said, I'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you again soon.